our way, hopefully. We'll go onto the main channel. It's currently loading onto the channel as I speak. Game audio is working, party audio is working, the stream's up, the chat's up, we're all good to go. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, hello everyone and welcome to round 12 of the PlayStation Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Autodromo José Carlos Pache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Opened in 1940 and has been hosting Formula 1 Grand Prix since 1972, Interlagos is widely regarded as one of the all-time greatest racetracks on the Formula 1 calendar. This circuit has an incredible natural ability to generate spectacular races. Whether it be awesome side-by-side racing, insanely tight qualifying, drama and chaos on the racetrack, important strategy calls with the safety car, or even changeable and unpredictable weather conditions, Interlagos can do it all. Tad on top of that, the modern-day 4.31 kilometer 15-turn circuit features two DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1 and Turn 4. But drivers can also try and pass into the hairpins of Turn 8 and Turn 11. Drivers will need to make full use of those overtaking areas, as this will be a sprint round. 2 races for the price of 1, and there are plenty of points on offer here tonight. Now, before we focus on this qualifying session, there is a bit of news to go through, first from last week's race in France. Only 2 incident reports, the first involving GeForce Leo and Isaac Kush. The result from that is no further action. And the second incident report revolves around GeForce Leo again, this time for cutting the pit lane entry line. And as a result, he receives a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point. But even with the time penalty, it doesn't change his final finishing position. As a result, in the final results, they all remain unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, GeForce Ford is leading the way on 283 points, followed by GeForce Crichton on 259. 24 points separate the top 2 in the Drivers' Championship. Crichton needs a really big round here in Brazil to try and revive his sort of momentum towards the championship, because it's all going Fordy's way. Fordy is on a hot streak of really good races. Crichton needs to strike back here. Spicy is P3 in the championship on 155 points. He's in a battle with Plevs on 148, GeForce Leo on 143, and I Contrast on 130. 25 points separating those 4 drivers. Next is Spilly on 117, followed by Ferrari Pro, who is absent in today's race, on 100 points. Then Darren 11 on 86, followed by Isaac Kush, rounding out the top 10 on 76 points. In the Constructors, Ferrari are leading on 341, followed by McLaren on 298. It's a pretty big gap between the top 2 in the Constructors, but we've still got a fair few rounds to go, including 2 sprint rounds, one here in Brazil and the other in Jeddah, so there's still heaps of points to try and play for. Mercedes aren't too far behind McLaren. They're only 9 points behind McLaren, in fact, on 289, so it's a tight fight between the top 3, but both McLaren and Mercedes need some pretty strong rounds to try and gain momentum, try and claw back the gap. Next is Alpine on 193, followed by Alfa Romeo, who have overtaken AlphaTauri. Alfa Romeo on 151, followed by AlphaTauri on 148. Red Bull and Williams are equal 8. They're both on 132, followed by Haas on 128. And at the bottom of the table is Aston Martin, still on 34 points. Hello ACW, nice to have you in the chat. And this is where normally I would introduce my co-commentator for this evening. Unfortunately, Pato is unable to attend, so I'm on my lonesome for this whole race. That's okay though. These boys will hopefully give me plenty of action to keep an eye out for, because typically with Brazil it's always a fantastic race, so I'm very, very much looking forward to this. Yeah, I'm sorry, Broke Vegan, you don't have Ferrari Pro to cheer on. Very sorry for that. Fair enough. Cheering on Tinsel and Karma. Fair play. Speaking of karma, he's about to cross the line to set an 8.4. He goes P7 with that lap time, just in front of Vision, who has set a not-so-competitive 1 minute 31. Last time I checked, that isn't a particularly fast lap around this racetrack in a Formula 1 race car. Players making his way around the final 2 corners on the circuit, turns 14 and turn 15. Flat-out left-handers in the final sector, just keeping it nice and narrow as he crosses the line to set a 1 minute 8.173. P6, just in front of Silderfort, who has set a 1 minute 8.3. Hilles has invalidated this run. Championship leader 4 crosses the line, jumps to the top with a 1 minute 7.402. Meanwhile, his championship rival Crichton is getting a helpful slipstream there from Plevs down the Retroposta as he makes his way around Descida de Lago, turns 4 and 5, and up the hill towards turn 6 and 7. Chucks it in, 6th gear, back on the accelerator. No hint of oversteer whatsoever from the Mercedes-Benz. It very much looks stable, and Crichton, he's trying to get 11 tenths out of the car right now. Into the hairpin of turn 11, a potential overtaking spot, unless you're Lewis Hamilton back in 2019. Around turn 12 and up towards Junsao, turn 13. Arguably the most important corner on the circuit, because coming out of that left-hander will dictate how much speed you're carrying through this flat-out final sector. Now, Hilles has crashed. He's crashed at turn 7, the exit of Ferradura. So he is out of qualifying. He will more than likely start from the back. His teammate, though, has qualified towards the front. 1 minute 7.474. 700ths between the top 2. Predictions for the race? I'm not making any predictions. Typically, when I make a prediction... There goes Tinselman. Oh, lovely spin, though. Oh, lovely. I bet he's in Seb's car. That was a perfect spin. Seb has plenty of experience doing those kinds of spins. But not so much in a green car. It was quite famous doing it in a red one. But, no, lovely spin there. Oh, you're racing with the Flute Silverfort. Well, that worked pretty well for Crichton. I mean, he raced for something like 7-8 weeks with some sort of disease infecting his body. Sort of like a long COVID, something similar to what Hamilton experienced back in 2020. Oh, it's Plebs. Oof. He lost control. His Alpine not so stable at the exit of turn 7, but he kept it out of the barrier somehow. So he doesn't have any damage, and he'll return to pit lane, put on another set of tyres. Spilly trying to get out of the way there of an Alfa Romeo. That would have to be Wogboy, who was on an outlap himself. Looks like he's about to begin a flying lap, making his way around Junsao. Then up the hill towards turn 14 and turn 15, the final 2 corners on the racetrack. You'll open DRS and we're right on board with the Alfa Romeo driver. Give you a guided tour of this 4.3 kilometre racetrack. Up the hill towards turn 1, the beginning of the Centre S, this downhill S corkscrew. 4th gear as he heads through turn 2 and around Curva de Sol, turn 3. Hugging the inside line the whole way round. You see this a lot from the top tier drivers. They don't run it out wide at the exit. They keep it nice and narrow. Into Descida de Lago, turns 4 and 5. 5th gear, 6th gear. Nice exit there, using a little bit of extra curve on the outside as well. As he heads around Ferradura, turn 6 and turn 7. Then into the hairpin of turn 8. Definitely a potential passing spot here at turn 8. Around this short left-hand sweeper of turn 9. Around the little kink of turn 10. And into the hairpin of 11. 3rd gear down to 2nd. Nice and steady there from Wogboy. Oh no, I'm still on air. Really? Oh, okay. No, it's still working. No, it's working. Is it? Yeah, okay. Look, folks, we're going to have trouble tonight. I know this. And I don't know. For whatever reason, PlayStation keeps signing me out of my account. For literally like 2 seconds, it signs me out. Why didn't that accept the invite? Like, for a split second, it kicks me out of the lobby. And kicks me out of my own account. For some reason. I don't know why it's been doing this. And I've tried many things to try and fix it. So we might be hampered with this all night. So I do apologise, but yeah, I'm going to try and make this work as best as I can. But I'm grateful that the stream is still running. Yes, so yeah, this is happening to me right now, Marco, where PlayStation, for some reason, it just periodically kicks me out of my own account and then brings me back in legit a second later. I don't know why it happens. I've got no clue. So I'm just grateful that the stream's still running. Now, we missed out on that little bit where the sort of connection stops, but it sort of gathered itself up. So when that happens, chat, you know what's going on. Hopefully we catch the rest of this qualifying session. Like I said, I've tried so many things to try and fix this. What I might have to do is rebuild the database in the PS4, which might help stabilize the connection, because it might be having trouble trying to sort out files within itself, as 40 improves to a 7.398. So he's found an extra couple of hundreds, and he's dropped into the threes. What can Crichton do here? Where's lap data? We'll bring that up. He's making his way up to the middle sector split. The clock says he's up by 43 thousandths, but he needs to find about 800ths of a second to try and challenge G-Force Ford for pole position. Can he find any time here in the final sector? Makes his way around the final turn up towards the line. It's a 1 minute 7.378. He found the time. He is in front by 200ths of a second. This is the kind of oh, hello. This is something you come to expect. Tight qualifying and drivers getting in front of each other on out laps and in laps. It's a very short lap here at Interlagos, only 4.3 kilometers long. So you don't have a great deal of track to try and sort yourself out, give yourself room, as we've had Wogboy, I think, spin at Junsa. Yes, he has. He's toured the grass just a little bit, and he'll get out of the way. But yeah, it's a short track, so we get tight qualifying sessions where the times are really, really close, and we have sort of tight instances on the racetrack where drivers impede each other. This is especially noticeable towards the end of a qualifying session. DRS open for Vision as he goes into pit lane. I thought he was ending a lap there. Telemetry. That's something else I'm missing as well. Crichton, he's going back into the pits. He's almost out of fuel. Izzat has just completed a flying lap. Currently P3 with a 1 minute 7.515. You can see there, 3 drivers separated by a tenth. Izzat, Kush, G-Force, Leo and Spicy, all separated by less than 1/10 of a second. This is why you gotta love Brazil just a little bit. Just the tightness of the qualifying and what we're hopefully going to see during the race, minus any complications with PSN. Hopefully it doesn't impede me too much. I hope. Gonna have to do some stuff behind the scenes, try and fix all that. But we've got 4.5 minutes left in qualifying. Got a lot of drivers in the pits. They're waiting for their final runs in this session. Wogboy will cross the line to have a go on a flying lap. He could have set a flying lap previously, but he did make that mistake at turn 13, which essentially ruined the flying lap he was about to do. So he essentially did a preparation lap, got the tyres nice and clean, got him up to temperature, and he's down just a little bit, though, to the first sector. Oh! Yeah, and he's going to be a lot more down now. Making a mistake at the exit of turn 4. I've done that from my experiences here at Brazil. Sometimes when you use a bit too much of that outside curb at turn 4, the car can lose control. Unfortunately for Wogboy, he kept it just about out of the barrier. And he's still in this qualifying session. And he should have time, if he wants to go back into the pits and put on another set of tyres. Around turn 11 goes Eye Contrast. Currently P10 with a 1 minute 7.929. He makes his way around turn 12. Middle sector says he's up. Not by much, but he's up by 85 thousandths of a second. And now he has to make his way through the final sector. He'll get a nice little tow. Just a small one from Tinselman, who was on a outlap. Around the final corner, up towards the line for Eye Contrast. It's a 7.828. He improves by exactly 1/10 of a second, and he improves himself. He moves up to P9 with that lap. Silderford getting ready, Vision getting ready. Tinselman on a flying, not on a flying lap. He's on a preparation lap. So he's trying to burn some of the extra fuel in the car, make it as light as possible for his final run in qualifying. Vision making his way through the Center S, turns 1 and 2, and up to Curva du Sol. 6th gear, climbing up to 7th as he exits the left-hander, up towards the first sector split. The clock says, for the reserve driver, he's up, not by much, but he's up by 16 thousandths of a second. 1 second, get this, 1 second separates the top 14 from G-Force Crichton down to Vision. That's 1 second. That's how close qualifying is here at Brazil. Around turn 8, towards the short sweeper of turn 9. You have to be so careful on the throttle here. You don't want to get too eager with it. You don't want to deploy it too early. Otherwise, you'll lose control of the car and more than likely spin into a barrier. Around turn 12, you have to be so careful here as well. You're right on the edge of grip. And somehow, he doesn't cop a warning for that. He well and truly abused the track limits there at 12, and he didn't get a warning. Fair play. Crichton did it back at Suzuka. And we're seeing it here today. And at Kota. I forgot to Kota as well. Vision crosses the line to stay 14th. He does an 8.2. Better keep our eyes now on the top guys. Izzat appears to be on a preparation lap. And this is the traffic I was talking about. Karma, he's approaching Izzat. And he's on a flying lap. And I think he's been impeded by the Williams. Here comes Karma. He makes his way through. Karma on a flying lap. See what he's up to. He's currently down to the first sector, but I do believe he was a bit distracted by that Alpine at turn 4. He does appear to be still pushing though. He's still got the battery turned onto hot lap. Around the hairpin of turn 11, then down the hill towards turn 12. What does the clock say here in the middle sector? It says for Karma that he's up by 1/10 of a second. He might be able to jump up 3 or 4 spots if he can string the lap together. Crichton on his final flying lap attempt, make his way through the Center S and around Curva du Sol. G-Force Ford is right behind. Fantastic. We'll be able to switch between the two. Karma moves up to P8 as well with a 7.8. Crichton's up by 9 thousandths to the first sector. Fordy's up by 25 thousandths to the first sector. Out of Descida de Largo and up towards Ferradura. Turn 6 and turn 7, 6th gear, modulating the throttle nicely, using all of the curb available to him. And down the hill and around turn 9. Again, nice and steady on the accelerator, then eventually reaching full throttle just before the outside curb. Exiting the hairpin of turn 11 and around turn 12. What does the clock say for Crichton? Is he up? Is he down? He is up by almost 1/10. What about Ford? He's up by 2/10 to the middle sector. Ford has found some time in the middle sector. Could he be looking at a 6? Maybe not. He needs to find a hell of a lot of time in the final sector. Crichton crosses the line. It's a 7.2. Fordy crosses the line. It's a 7.158. He beats Crichton by just over 1/10 of a second. Considering this racetrack, considering how tight qualifying is, the fact that he's found 1/10 over Crichton is a hell of an achievement. Oh, Izzat's missed out by 3 thousandths of a second on improving up to P3. And Spilly, his qualifying session is done. Same with Plevs. Silverfoot, his session is done. Vision's up, rather down by 22 thousandths. He's running low on battery. He might try and complete this flying lap. Yes, he will. Will he improve? Oh, there's a stranded Red Bull in the middle of the circuit, and he backs off. He backs off. So there we are. G-Force Ford. 1 minute 7.158 is his final lap time in this qualifying session, and it gives him pole position over his championship rival Crichton. Just over 1/10 of a second, separating the top two at the end of qualifying. So, running through the rest of the order, we have Spicy in P3, Izzat Kush in 4th, followed by GeForce Leo in 5th, then Spilly, Luke in P7, Karma in 8th, Plebs in 9th, and I Contrast rounds out to 10, Then we have Bags Liddell, Silverfort, Wogboy, Roscoe Arm, Vision, and Tinselman, the last driver to set a lap time down in P16, with Hillez unable to set a lap time after an incident earlier in qualifying. So 1.4 seconds separating the entire field, but the top 15, it's just over 1 second. That's what you come to expect here at Interlagos. Absolutely fantastic. But what do these two have in store for us? The championship contenders. They're separated by 24 points. 40 with the advantage. And 40, he's been on really fantastic form. And his sprint race record is well, pretty good. Let's say that. 40 sprint race record, it looks really, really good. Unbeatable even. Let's see what Crichton can do though. Alrighty. Now, this is a sprint race. We've got a 12-lap sprint in front of us here at Interlagos. I wonder if there are any drivers who are going to gamble and start on the soft compound tyre. There might be one, maybe two towards the back who would give it a go. Because why not, you know? I think the soft tyre can do 12 laps. You might need to look after it somewhat towards the end. But I think it is somewhat doable. Either that or everyone will go with the default medium compound tyre and do the entire race on that. It's a very safe option. Will anyone take a gamble? Nope! Everyone went with the medium compound tyre. No one bothering to start on the softs. So we don't need the tyre graphic then. We can get rid of that. Everyone is on the medium compound tyre. Just need to keep our eyes out for... Oh, it's Crichton! Well... Look, mate, I know you're a 5-time drivers champion, but the last time I checked, that's not how you get your tyres up to temperature. He's got himself going again, that's the main thing. But it'll be interesting to see this battle between Ford and Crichton, because Crichton, even here in this sprint race, he probably doesn't want to let Fordy continue to gain points over him. I think Crichton would like to win here in this sprint race. Not just in the main race, but here in the sprint as well. So it'll be very interesting to keep an eye on these two. Spicy P3 is at course on decent form. GeForce Leo looking for form. Leo, he had so much promise at the beginning of the season. He's just had horrible luck and small mistakes that have caught him out. He'd be looking to try and recover in this back half of the season. We've still got a few rounds to go. We've got this race here in Brazil. We've got Abu Dhabi next week. And we've got Albert Park in the season finale at the Jeddah Corniche circuit for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So you've got a interesting diversity of racetracks that we're going to. Hopefully Leo can find some form as Izzat spins out into the barrier. Dear me. Couple of drivers making mistakes on this formation lap. Rightio. Everyone's now lining back up into their respective grid slots. Crichton making his way through, trying to find his grid slot. Now 40 from pole position is starting on the outside line towards turn 1. Crichton has the inside line. So if Crichton can get a good start, he can have the whole shot into turn 1. But everyone's lined up ready to race. We have 10 red lights. And we're underway here in Sao Paulo. It's a nice start from Ford. It's a better start, though, from Crichton. And he does have the whole shot down into turn 1. But Fordy trying to fight back. Can't do it. Crichton had so much speed at the exit of 1. Running wide is High Contrast in the AlphaTauri as everyone makes their way through Curva de Sol. Down the Red Aposta for the first time. We have 3 wide here in the midfield. They have to try and sort themselves out accordingly. Otherwise, we're going to have a big accident. Through turn 4. Oh, pushed out wide, I think, was Bags Liddell. Silverford, I think, forcing him wide there. Up the hill towards turn 6 we go. I think they've all sorted themselves out now. Bags trying to make a move here on Vision. Will he send it? Not quite. 2 Aston Martins almost scrapping for position there. Roscoe Arm has the advantage over Tinselman. But all in all, a pretty nice start. Everyone have kept themselves nice and clean. No damage from what I could see. And it's Crichton who leads a fantastic start with the inside line heading towards turn 1. And he had so much momentum out of the opening corner that he was able to cover off 40 into turn 2. Around turn 15, the final corner on the racetrack. Crossing the line now to complete lap 1. Crichton leads from Ford in second, Isaac Kush in third, followed by the two McLarens of Leo and Spicy, then Spilly in P6, then the two Alpines. Karma's in ninth, and Silverfort rounds out the top 10. You can see from the position changes here, we don't have a huge amount of movement. Biggest winner is Vision. From 15th, he's moved up to 12th. Biggest loser is Wogboy, down to last position, 17th place. 40 applying pressure to Crichton here at the exit of 7 into the hairpin of turn 8. Now, Ford can play a patient game here. All he needs to do is stay right where he is, wait until lap 3, and use DRS to pass. It's that simple. The important thing is not making a mistake. Around turn 12, up towards Junsao, turn 13. See the top 3 starting to pull away. Luke's had an issue. Luke has spun. He's doing a bit of lawn mowing. Well, not quite. He was on the tarmac there. So no, he was exploring. That's what he was doing. 40. Closing in bit by bit. Sets a fastest lap. A 9.7 as they go into turn 1. And around turn 2 to complete the center S. And around Curva du Sol, turn 3. DRS open. He'll close the gap up a little, but not by enough to attack into Desida du Lago. He'll stay behind here. Isaac Kush trying to keep up with the top 2. Steadily building a margin over Leo. Leo doing his best to keep up. Bags Liddell overtaking Vision. That was for P11. Around the hairpin of turn 8. Down the hill and around the small sweeper of 9. Is that very deep on the brakes there. Was able to close in at the entry. He got a decent exit as well. He is in this fight. He is right behind Ford. Around turn 12. Towards Junsao, turn 13. It's important that 40 gets a nice exit here. Doesn't let Crichton pull away too much. Crichton's on top of his game right now. He's keeping the margin at half a second between himself and Ford. Isaac Kushka shadowing behind in third. Leo's dropping off a bit here. He's 9/10 behind now. Needs to close up if he can. 40 doing exactly that on Crichton. Making his way out to the center S and into Curva du Sol. Gap is 3.5 tenths. DRS open. He'll close in, but I don't think by enough to attack into turn 4. Yet he'll stay behind for now. Bit of a similar story with everyone else. In fact, we have a huge train of cars from P1 down to P16. Every single driver in this train has DRS except for the leader. And of course, poor Luke, who made that mistake at turn 12, down in P17, long way behind the field. Around the hairpin, turn 11, towards turn 12. Down the hill, and towards turn 13. Crichton using fourth gear here, trying to get the traction at corner exit, and he got it. Pretty nice run, but 40's on top of his game as well. DRS open, sitting in the slipstream. You can see there in the steering wheel, he's still got a bit of battery to play with, as Izzat sets a new fastest lap. Leo beats it into turn 1. Around turn 2, the right-hander, then the long left-hander of turn 3. Now he's starting to use a little bit of that battery, a little bit more, as he heads up towards turn 4, closing the gap, not by enough. Tidy run there out of 4 around turn 5. Bit of a gap forming now between Leo and Spicy. The train is starting to break up. Spicy needs to try and get back within that 1 second range of his teammate. Otherwise he's going to lose the top 4. Around turn 9. Up the hill again. Around 10 and around the hairpin of turn 11. Everyone's sort of stuck behind one another. Another characteristic of Interlagos, because of the incredible competitive nature around this racetrack, a lot of the drivers are quite even in terms of pace. As a result, you have these DRS trains forming, and when you have them form, it's very difficult to make moves, unless you're at the front of it, like 40. He takes the lead on lap 6 of 12 in this sprint race. Around turn 2 and around Curva de Sol. Can Crichton strike back? I reckon he can, you know. DRS open. 40 covers the inside line, heading towards the Cida de Lago. An incident as Crichton retakes the lead. Tinselman and Gilles, I believe, were the cause of that yellow flag, as 40's trying to fight back around the long way here at turn 6. Afraid you can't make a move there, sir. And wisely, he slots back in behind the Mercedes-Benz of Crichton. Around turn 9, back up the hill towards turns 10 and 11. 40 not close enough to send it here. But again, he just needs a really nice run out of Junsao, and he can line up a pass down the main straightaway with DRS. Oh, bit of a wiggle though, just a small one. It's cost him a little bit of momentum. DRS open, still got tons of battery. Crichton's got plenty of battery himself. But that's the power of DRS. He is closing in by a fair chunk. Down the inside, a big send from Ford and takes the lead. Fantastic. Around turn 3, Crichton can strike back once again. Looks to the outside. DRS open on the Mercedes, and look at him power past. Back into the lead he goes at turn 4. So around turn 5, up the hill again towards turn 6. Is that watching along? Leo's closing in. Gilles has had a moment at Curva de Sol. He's gone going again, so no VSC, no safety car, no nothing. Just yellow flags, just a small incident. Around turn 9, up the hill again towards turn 11. Ford not quite close enough here. Try and send it in. Around turn 12, back up the hill again to turn 13. 40. Oh, a small moment there. Too much throttle at the exit of turn 13. Lost control of the back end of the car. Catched it quite well. But now he's not in a position to attack Crichton into turn 1. Hard on the brakes, down to 4th gear. Through the center S. Short shifting up to 5th. And heading around Curva de Sol. And down the Retroposta. He'll open DRS. Still has plenty of battery, but he's not burning it just yet. Playing a longer game. He's waiting for his moment towards the end of the race to try and make his move for the race lead. Around turn 6 into turn 7 and around the hairpin of turn 8. Izzat's under a bit of pressure from Leo, but the Haas driver's hanging on pretty well. Hasn't put a foot wrong so far. He's kept up with the top 2. Hasn't disappeared. Leo just lingering behind. Towards Junsao again. 6/10 separating the top 2. Let's increase to 8. I guess 40 had a moment again at turn 13. He had to use a little bit of battery there. Opens DRS. He gained all that time back down this main straight thanks to the sheer power of DRS. Around turn 1. Down the hill into turn 2. Around turn 3. Hugging that inside line all the way around. He'll open DRS again. Not using any battery to try and recover time. Just using the natural power of DRS. Plebs, he's got Karma right in behind. The battle is on for P7 right here. You can see the flashing red light on the back of the Alpine. So Plebs low on battery. You can see the Haas just shadowing behind, following his every movement. I reckon Karma could set up a pass at the end of this lap. So long as he doesn't make a mistake through this middle sector, should be able to line up something. He's got some battery to play with. Can't say the same for Plebs. As Vision overtakes Bags Liddell, that is for P11. Oh, Ford! Ford's made a mistake! He has spun at turn 13! The championship leader! He's had such a... such a horrible time coming out of turn 13 on several occasions. And now he's fully blown it as Karma does indeed get by down the main straightaway into turn 1. My goodness, That's completely caught me off guard. 40 is outside of the points, and his championship rival is leading this race. Oh my goodness. This is humongous. Remember, 24 points separate the top two. This is going to be a 10-point swing in Crichton's favour unless 40 gets a move on. And he needs to. Man, that caught me off guard. Made me choke on my own spit. It caught me so off guard. Around the hairpin of turn 11, how hard will 40 drive here? He needs to get a move on. And it's going to be so difficult as well, stuck in a DRS train. You have to be so aggressive. Oh, and fair enough, I suppose, Vision letting him through, and back into the points goes Ford. That is 1 point. That is 1 point right there with P10. I wonder if he can make up any more spots, but Crichton, with a clear track in front and a bit of a gap behind, doesn't have to worry as much. Still has to keep Isaac Kush in mind, though. Isaac showing decent pace, but you can see the flashing red lights on the back of the Haas. He's low on battery. Players moving back by Karma down the Retro Aposta, back into P6. Around turn 5 as Luke overtakes Tinselman. Tinselman stopped. Oh, damage to the front wing as well. Oh dear. He has to try and finish the race with that. Otherwise he'll be starting from plumb last. Hiller is at the moment occupying that spot. Had a few moments over the course of this race. Unfortunately for the Mercedes driver, he will be more than likely starting from the back unless Tinselman makes a pit stop. Around the final couple of corners to finish the second last lap and begin the final lap. Crichton out in front, 7/10 in hand. So long as he doesn't make a mistake here through this opening sector, he should be okay. Around turn 3, Izzat's here, but not quite close enough to really do anything. 40's into 9th. Battle behind between Vision and Bags Liddell. Side by side at the exit of turn. Oh, and a spin! Oh, Bags was caught on the middle of the curb. And unfortunately, when you do that, the game doesn't like that. It doesn't. And he got spun out, and he's down to P15. It's really tight racing there. As Leo, he's now right behind Isaac Kush, giving the Haas driver a fair chunk of pressure. Can we see a G-Force 1-2 here in this sprint? Can Leo find a way by? 40 meanwhile in 9th. Those are 2 critical points next to his name. He needs those points. Because this man, his championship rival, is going to take the sprint race win. A fine drive from G-Force Crichton. Crichton wins the sprint. He'll start on pole for the main race. Izzat will hang on to 2nd. G-Force Leo in 3rd, with Spicy 4th, Spilly 5th, Plebs, then Karma in Contrast, then 40 in 9th. Huge. That is an 8-point swing in Crichton's favour. The gap has shrunk to 16. Wow. And 40, well, he's got some work to do. Starting from 9th, has to make his way back towards the front in the main race. And we saw how competitive it was in that midfield. When you're stuck in that DRS train, it is difficult to move forward. 40 needs to drive pretty well in the main race. Because his rival, well, he's just been given a free kick here. We just have to wait and see whether or not Crichton will put in the goal. Or will he shank it wide? I suppose there's only one way to find out. But the results from the sprint, Crichton is your race winner, followed by Isaac Kush, then G-Force Leo. Spicy in 4th, followed by Spilly, Plebs, Karma, Contrast, then Ford, and Silverford, our final points finisher, in 10th. Vision P11, followed by Roscoe Arm, then Wogboy in P13. Luke in 14th, followed by Bags Liddell, Tinselman, and Hillez will start from the very back in 17th position. Alrighty. Main race time. This ought to be interesting. And Ferrari, this is going to hurt them a little bit in the constructors as well, because McLaren scored some decent points. Crichton obviously got the race win, so both teams is going to outscore Ferrari from that sprint. So the gap shrinks up between the top three. And now we got the main race to go into. And clear skies here in Interlagos. Not a hint of wet weather anywhere. Though I can see in Spilly's garage, there are full wet tyres in there. The blue ringed Pirelli tyre sitting there in his garage. No idea why. Because there's not a cloud in the sky. We might have some wet weather conditions, but it will be towards the end. Because they're definitely not happening now. It'll be interesting to see what the drivers do. Who starts on the hard tyre? Who starts on the medium? That's the question heading into this main race. Who starts on the hard? Who starts on the medium? Those who want to start on the medium tyre, they want to get a move on early. Maybe 40 might be one of those drivers who chucks on the medium tyre to begin with to try and be nice and aggressive at the start when the field is bunched up to try and make up as many positions as possible. Maybe. Let's find out. I think Crichton's starting on the hards. I think Izzat starting on the mediums from what I can see there. Yep. Alright, let's go through the order, and I'm right as well, but we'll go to that in just a moment. Crichton, our pole sitter, starting on the hard tyre. Izzat Kush in P2, starting on the mediums, and Crichton demonstrated the power of that inside line when you get a good start. And Crichton, he's on the harder tyre. Izzat's on the softer tyre. So theoretically, Izzat should get a better start at the beginning of this race, but we'll have to wait and see. GeForce Leo and Spicy, the two McLarens, are on the hard tyres. Spilly and P5's on the hard tyre. Plebs and P6's on mediums. Karma and Contrast are on hards. And I was right with Ford. 40 is starting on the medium compound tyre. So we all know what 40's going to try and do at the beginning of the race. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to try and make up spots. Silverfort, Vision are on the hard tyre. Roscoe Arm on the mediums. Wogboy on the hard tyre. Luke on the mediums. Then we got Banks, Liddell and Tinselman. They're both on hards. And Hillez starting from the very back. And why not? You might as well try something and start on the medium tyre. You never know. It might just work. Especially if we have an early safety car. If there's an early safety car, then it really falls in favour of those starting on the medium tyre. Oh, I see. So that's why you've moved towards the back. Because I did notice an out-of-place Red Bull. But no, I sneezed again, did you, Chief? No, you're just showing off to the Brazilian fans. That's all you're doing. Showing off your capability of doing donuts and lawn mowing at the same time. Right, I am. So we got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars on the mediums. That means 11 on the hard tyre. So a pretty interesting split, I'd say, in terms of tyre strategy. Everyone's now lining up into their respective grid slots. And we'll be able to get underway for the second time. Alrighty, 36 laps in front of us this time around. We got 10 red lights. And we're underway in the main race. It's a nice start from Crichton. Can he challenge down the inside into turn 1? The answer is no. Crichton will lead the field through the centre S. Down the hill we go. Around turn 2 and into turn 3. You can see the midfield scrapping away. 40's up a couple of places already as we head down the Retroposta. Plebs trying to challenge Spilly. Off the road goes somebody. It's Tinselman. He's out of the race. Oh, and a huge shunt at the end of the Retroposta. It's Vision, the central car involved, and we have a virtual safety car. Oh my giddy aunt. What happened there? at the end of the Retro Aposta. I was too busy trying to work out what happened with Tinselman at the exit of turn 3, and I switched back to the tail end of the field at turn 4, and I see a Williams perpendicular to the racetrack with a destroyed front wing to boot. VSC as well, not a full proper safety car, so drivers need to be careful of the Delta. But no, a good start from Ford, coming up from 9th to 7th. So he's made up a couple of spots. He needs to make up a couple more as we're back on the green flag racing. Here comes Izzat. Here comes G-Force Leo as we head down the main straightaway towards the center S. Leo looking to the inside. To the outside he looks as Izzat's trying to fight around a long way. Through turn 2 we go to positions stay the same. It's Crichton who still leads. Izzat who is still in second. Leo still in third. But Spicy trying to challenge here. Oh, and Plev's in this as well. Plev's looking round the outside here at turn 4. And credit to him, he gets it done. Plev's into 4th position. Up the hill towards turn 6. Silderfort and Vision both in the pit lane. So obviously Silderfort involved in that shunt at turn 4. Exiting Ferradura. Down the inside goes Ford on Spicy. Can he get the move done? He's looking round the outside now at turn 9, but he's got the traction on the medium tyre. He gets in front. He's into 5th as Tinselman has left the session. Around turn 12, up towards turn 13. I understand your frustration, Tinselman, to be taken out on lap 1. It's never a nice feeling to go through. It's actually incredibly frustrating, so I completely understand. Is that Kush following in the slipstream, heading up towards turn 1. Can't quite get by. Crichton sets a new fastest lap. 40 gets by Plebs. Down the inside at turn 1. He's now into 4th place. Over the course of 2 laps, he's made up 5 spots. 40's on a charge. He is not mucking around. Is that closing in? Powering past, in fact. He's into the race lead. Izzat leads here in Brazil. Crichton now in second, followed by G-Force Leo, and his G-Force compatriot Ford is now right behind. Meanwhile, Karma and Luke side by side. It's tight here at Ferradura, but at the exit of it... Oh! Karma had a big old slide there at the exit of turn 7. Silderfort has retired in the pit lane. That's a voluntary retirement. We're down to 15 cars as we head around the hairpin of turn 11 rather. Around turn 12 up towards turn 13. Everyone minding their own business now, unable to attack one another. Leo under a bit of pressure here. Here comes Ford, dumping his battery. He wants to get by. Around the outside he's looking, and he gets by Leo. An official to overtake there as Contrast gets by Spilly. Spilly, can he counter-attack here? He's going to try. He slots into the slipstream, but look at the straight line speed of the AlphaTauri. It is just pulling away from the Red Bull of Spilly. The Contrast has got a small problem. The gap's now 1 second between himself and Spicy. He needs to close that gap. Otherwise, he's going to be incredibly vulnerable to Spilly on lap 5. Exiting turn 8 and heading around turn 9, Crichton has been unable to retake the lead, really demonstrating the pace of the medium tyre in the beginning stages of this race. Just got so much grip, so much speed. Is that pulling away bit by bit, 40 closing in bit by bit. And Crichton might not have DRS here. Gonna be close. No, he's got it, he's got it, he's got it. Only just so. He's only just got it. Into turn 1. Hard on the brakes here. 40. He'll be gaining through every corner in this opening stages of the race as they head around turn 3 and onto the Retro Aposta. Plebs closing in a little bit on Ford. Not by enough though to attack into turn 4. Has to stay behind. Same with the rest of these guys. They're all close to one another, but just unable to do anything. Around turn 7, up towards turn 8. Crichton doing his best to just try and keep within that 1 second range. He knows if he loses DRS, he's going to get passed by Ford. And I think, for the sake of the championship, he needs to try and keep this track position over Ford. He needs to stay in front. Probably needs to pray as well that there isn't an early safety car. Exiting turn 13 and heading back up the hill. Crichton will still have DRS. 40 will have it too. Closing in a little bit. You can see the straight line speed of the Ferrari is pretty solid. Both cars have DRS, but 40 is still closing in. Luke, close enough. Deep on the brakes, but not quite close enough to get by. Hillez gets by Roscoe, though he did miss the apex at turn 1. But Hillez compensates pretty well through turns 2 and 3. Luke, you find a way by. Close, very close. Not close enough. He has to stay behind Spilly, hanging on just about in P8. Contrast just in front as well. And he's steadily losing time to Spicy rather. Gap's now 1.7 seconds between those cars. Around turn 9 and heading up the hill. And into the hairpin of turn 11. 4 tenths, 3.5 tenths now separating these two. As I said, 40 will be gaining through every corner. There's not much Crichton can do about it. Using plenty of battery up the hill, Ford. Gee whiz. I reckon he might try and go for something. Oh, he switched it back on. He switches it back off. I reckon he was thinking about a move here at turn 1. He dumped all of his battery down that main straightaway. I reckon he was going to try and go for something. Exiting turn 3. DRS open again. Following in the slipstream. He's not quite close enough to attack here into turn 4. Something's happened to Luke. He has spun. That's at turn 3. Gets pointed back roughly in the right direction. He rejoins safely and hasn't made contact with anything. So I don't think he has any damage. Is that still leading the way? But hasn't been able to pull away. Crichton doing a mega job keeping up. As they head around turn 11. Tight hairpin and down the hill around the tricky turn 12. Have to be so careful through this left-hander. So easy to lose control through there. As they head into turn 13 and climbing up the hill once again towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack. 40 not quite as close as what he was before. Still gaining a little bit down the straights, but not by enough to challenge Crichton. Speaking of challenging, here comes Hillez on Karma. There's not much Karma can do about that. When you don't have DRS, you really are a sitting duck. Karma down to 10th position. Spilly still unable to find a way by Contrast. Contrast doing a really solid job in P7, holding off those behind. Just keeping it nice and tidy. Plevs hovering behind GeForce Leo. And he's on the medium tyre like Ford, like Izzat. And he's made up a few spots over the course of these opening few laps. Actually, no, he's only made up one. Thought he made up a few more. Nope, I'm wrong. Man, he's made up the most, though. Look at that. 6 positions up for GeForce Ford. Fantastic start. And it's the start he needed after what happened in the sprint. Spinning out at the corner coming up. Turn 13, Jun Sao. Made the mistake here. His car looked very unstable throughout this corner at several parts in that sprint race, and eventually he lost control of the thing towards the end of the sprint. He eventually recovered to 9th, and now he's recovering again here in the main race. Now Crichton starting to close in. Down the hill, through turn 2, into turn 3. The Silverford has left the session, fair enough. DRS open. He won't close in by enough here to attack into turn 4. It's definitely a little bit closer than what he's been on previous laps. So maybe, just maybe, those medium tyres are starting to switch off. They don't have the pace of what they had at the beginning of this race. Plev still hovering behind. Same with Spilly. All of these guys are just sort of stuck in DRS trains right now. Just unable to pass. They get close. They get very close. But they don't get the momentum they need to try and make a move. Now, after I've said Crichton looked like he was closing in, Izzat's now increased the gap. It's back up to 7 tenths, 7.5, 8 tenths even. As they head around the final sector, DRS open. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Chucking it into the center S, turns 1 and 2. Be nice and careful. You have to be so careful, especially at turn 2 during the race. It's so easy to cut too much and cop a warning. Actually pretty easy around a place like this to grab time penalties. You just run wide and cut too much in a couple of areas. You can get 3-second time penalties pretty easily. Around the hairpin of turn 9, you can see as well 40's right there. He is just right there. He's within touching distance, but he can't find a way by. Again, it's all about momentum. You need that momentum to try and get by. Either that or you need so much more grip compared to the car in front so you can brake later, turn harder and carry more speed. And at this point, being lap 10 of 36, those medium tyres, they have definitely seen better days. So they won't have the outright grip, but 40 here has got the outright speed. Here he goes. He's looking to the inside here at turn 1. Almost contact between them. Ford has the nose in front. Crichton can't fight back. 40 is into second place. But can Crichton strike back here? He's dumping his battery. He pulls out onto the racing line. 40 covers the inside line as they head into the Cedar de Largo. The Mercedes is in front. Oh, it's tight on the exit. They're side by side through turn 5. Heading up the hill towards turn 6. Crichton has the inside line. 40, he can't do much about that. He has to give in. Crichton retakes second. The battle is on between Crichton and Ford. What a nice scrap that was. Really hard fought, really tight, but they both get through. And sort of demonstrating the sheer speed that they have. Both drivers still have DRS. They're still within 1 second of Izzat. That's how much pace they have. Even with all that battling, they're still within 1 second of the race leader. Isn't that a statement? Down the main straightaway towards turn 1. 40 not close enough this time to try and launch an attack. Has to stay behind in P3. Again, Plebs, he's close, not close enough. Just sort of hovering around in third, minding his own business. So we might as well keep our eyes on this. Around the Cedar de Largo, turns 4 and 5 on the racetrack, and heading back up the hill towards turns 6 and 7. Half a second separating the top 2, half a second separating P2 and 3. Now, if you may remember, I said it was clear blue skies at the beginning of this race. Look around now. Look at the sky. It is grey here at Interlagos. The clouds have come. Is rain not too far away as 40 has a small moment out of turn 11? Also a little bit of time there to Crichton. He's still within that 1 second range. Will we see some rain here in Brazil? Because the clouds are here. It is overcast here in Sao Paulo. Another variable that might be added into the mix in this race that we have to keep an eye out for. Through the center S. And around turn 3. Oh! Izzat's made a mistake! Izzat has made a mistake at turn 3! And through goes Crichton! Crichton has taken the race lead. Oh dear. Izzat, a small mistake there at turn 3. And now Crichton has a car between himself and his championship rival. This is what Crichton wants. Now he wants to try and keep that car in between himself and Ford. He did this back at Kota. He did the exact same thing. Oh, but he's made a mistake himself, Crichton, at the exit of turn 9. He slid the car out wide, but fortunately the two drivers behind were not in a position to capitalise. In saying that though, DRS has proven to be incredibly powerful here in Brazil. Can Izzat find a way back by to retake the lead? DRS open. Shifts it into top gear. Right in that slipstream, closing in bit by bit, looks to the inside, does not fully commit to the move at turn 1, through turn 2, and around turn 3. No mistake this time around from Isaac Kush. Dumping his battery here, DRS open, he's gaining momentum, he's looking to the inside, but doesn't go for the move. He stays behind. I thought he was going to try and go for it. Rain has come. It has started to rain. Look on the halo. There are raindrops on the halo. It has started to rain. All right. Another variable chucked into the mix. Wet weather has arrived. And how will this change the scope of the race? Timing is going to be crucial to move on to the intermediate tyre. When will it turn to intermediate conditions as well? Will it be very quick, or will it take its time? I guess there's only one way to find out. I believe DRS is still available. I haven't seen a decision from race control just yet to turn it off. 40 closing in. Will he send it here at turn 1? Oh, you can see Kush just half covering that inside line, just telling Ford, hey mate, you're not getting by just yet. DRS open, climbing up through the gears as Gilles and Karma battle for position. Might have a quick squeeze at this. Around Curve of the Soul, Karma should get DRS here. And look at this, round the outside. Nice move there. Take the position back. Roscoe Arms closing in as well as we head into Descida del Lago, but not close enough to attack the Mercedes into turn 4. Meanwhile, our top 3, separated by 0.8 of a second from front to back, are making their way into the hairpin of turn 11. Those medium tyres have definitely seen better days. Done 14 laps on them. We're closing in on the halfway mark. They just won't have the same level of grip as the hard tyres do right now. And it shows the gap has increased to 0.8 of a second. 8.5 between the top 2. But Kush will gain time with DRS open. Gain quite a bit of time down this main straight on GeForce Crichton as they head into the Center S. Turns 1. Oh, bit of a moment there from Izzat. And look, it's cost him so much time. The gap's increased to 1 second between the top 2, and we have drivers in. Gilles and Bags Liddell are pitting, more than likely for the intermediate tyre. But as you can see, DRS is still very much turned on, so they just might be taking a gamble. Inters for Gilles, Inters for Bags Liddell, as expected, as the leaders make their way around Ferradura. Turn 6 and turn 7 into the hairpin now of turn 8. The gap is continuing to open between Crichton and Izzat. It's now 1.1. So those medium tyres on Izzat's car, they're not doing too good right now. They're not doing too good at all. Exit at turn 11 and down the hill around turn 12. Gap's now 1.2. Into turn 13, down to 4th. Nice and steady from Izzat. No wheel spin. No oversteer this time. Vision, 3-second time penalty. Does Crichton come in? No, is the answer. Izzat stays out. 40 There's the call from race control. DRS is disabled. Have they missed their opportunity to pit? Well, other drivers are staying out. Spicy's coming in. Nicely pulled up there from Spicy. Eye contrast is in. Spilly almost hits the back. Oh, he did. He hit the back of him. He's got end plate damage on the Red Bull. And I don't think they'll repair that. Let's have a look. Oh, no. They will. Oh, he's lucky. He's lucky they're going to repair that. Sometimes they don't. Onto Inters he goes. Same with a lot of other drivers. These leaders, they're sticking it out for another lap as they head around turn 9 up towards turns 10 and 11. Gap's now 1.5 seconds. Crichton's pulling away. Down the hill, through turn 12 and into turn 13. The gap's steadily increasing, bit by bit. Interesting ACW. So the conditions should dry up. Fascinating. Crichton, he comes in. Race leader's in. We have yellow flags out. It's Leo. Leo has made a mistake at turn 13. And he finally comes in. Plebs, though, is staying out. What is Plebs' gain here? Is he going to try and tough it out in these conditions? Is that his game? I suppose we'll have to find out. Crichton's on to a set of Inters, so is that, so is Ford, so is everyone else who's coming into pit lane. They're all chucking on the intermediate tyre. Plevs is out on track with a track that's getting progressively worse. He's going to try and fight it out on slick tyres in these conditions. Alrighty. Well, as you can see on the halo, this rain is still coming down, so it hasn't stopped just yet. He's got 12.7 seconds over Crichton. Gee whiz, 40 has lost some time in that pit stop. 1.6 seconds is now the gap between himself and Isaac Kush. That gap has increased somewhat. Meanwhile, behind, maybe some of these battles now will become more lively. Case in point, Roscoe Arm and Wogboy. Very close together as they head out of turn 7 into turn 8. Ascend maybe? Not quite. Doesn't go for the move. Surely Plevs pits. Yeah, he went one lap too long. I figured he might try and fight out the conditions, but he's lost 2 seconds over that lap. Around the final corner and back onto the main straightaway. Crichton will retake the lead on the beginning of lap 19. Isaac Kush in second, followed by Ford, who is closing in on the Haas driver. He's within a second of Isaac as they head around Curva de Sol. Leo and his teammate Spicy now occupy P4 and P5. This is looking like a solid result for McLaren. Solid result that they desperately need. Bags Adele, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as Vision pits in, and he'll move on to a set of intermediate tyres. Around turn 8, down the hill and around turn 9. 48.5 tenths behind Isaac Kush. Can he find a way by? It can be a bit more difficult to find a way by. You don't have any DRS to help you out. But what rain can do, it makes less obvious overtaking spots more viable, especially in the middle sector here at Brazil. If you can get a nice run onto the back of someone through that middle sector, you can try and send it down into one of the hairpins, namely turn 8 and turn 11, to try and make the move. But here, into turn 1, it's not quite as easy as what it was before with DRS. Vision has made a mistake. He's broken his front wing. And we have a safety car. Oh, hello. This has come back. Great. So, Vision's broken his front wing. The debris is about, oh, I don't know, 1,000,000 miles off the racetrack. There's no reason for there to be a safety car, but it has been deployed. And this time it isn't a Haas. Traditionally, for me, as a commentator, when a Haas breaks their front wing, that's when the safety car comes out. This time, though, it's a Williams. So at least it's a bit different. There you go. We have a safety car. Yep, front wing for a safety car. It makes legit no sense, but it's a thing in the game. You know, it happens a lot more often than it should happen. Like, we had this in Elite Series on Sunday, where I think it was Hilles who lost control here at this part of the racetrack, right here at turn 14. And he smashed his Haas into the wall. It destroyed his front wing, and we had a safety car. And it completely changed the complexion of the race. I don't know why the game does it. My only guess, and it's something that I've reaffirmed on many different streams, is that the game, when an incident takes place, the game will pick out a random number, and it will decide whether it's a safety car, a virtual safety car, or just yellow flags in a sector. There's no actual sort of formula behind it. It's all RNG. All of it. That's the only theory I have towards this sort of the sort of incident system in the game. I just think it's RNG. Because, yeah, the amount of times I've seen drivers break a front wing and the safety car be deployed is way, way too many. Way too many. And the best bit, if you'd like to know, if we go to lobby options, I think it's in lobby options. Nope, it would be sim settings. Where's the simulation settings? Where's the safety car type? Not in here, really. Rules and flags then, maybe? Where is it? Yeah, here it is. It's on reduced. Safety car, like there are, I think, 3 modes for safety car. There is reduced, standard, and increased. We run with reduced. And this happens. Like, I get it if it was running on increased and it happened, but it's on reduced. And this happens. And it happens all the time. So... yeah, I see what you mean, Vegan. I do think his car was rolling, though. Slowly. I do think it was rolling. But I have seen that before as well, where a car is stationary long enough for the safety car to come out. I have seen that. I have indeed. I've seen that in driver career mode, or rather my team career mode, where Charles Leclerc at Canada had an accident and he made his car stop on the inside of the hairpin at Montreal. I think it's the turn 10 hairpin. And because his car was stationary, the safety car came out. He didn't have an accident. He spun out by himself, tried to spin back in the right direction and put himself into the grass. That is a late call. Actually, no, that's just about right. That's the beginning of the final sector. Never mind, no, that's right. But yeah, I have seen stationary cars that are not out of the race bring out a safety car. But I'm not sure with vision, though you could potentially find an argument for it. Anyway, Crichton slows the field down to a crawl. You'll see them appear on your right-hand screen. There you are. There they are. On the right-hand side of the screen. And Crichton takes off. 40 matched him pretty well. Is that not so much? Actually, no. Izzat's done all right. Gap's only 3/10. I thought the gap looked a bit bigger on the restart. No, Izzat's done an all right job. As Vision's retired in the pit lane. He's done for the day, it would seem. Around turn 3 and onto the Retro Aposta. Izzat might have a crack. No, not quite. He's not close enough to have a go here at turn 4. And I might get rid of the tyre graphic as well. We don't need it. Everyone's on the intermediate tyre. Out of turn 5, heading up the hill towards turn 6. 3/10 separating the top 2. All that Crichton needs to do, is not do that. He was a bit sideways there at turn 6. Control. No, he gathered it up nice. Kept the car straight. That's the main thing. 40. Not exactly the best of restarts. He's losing time to the top 2. Gaps increased. 9/10 of a second between himself and Isaac Kush. And Leo's lost a fair chunk of time. He's 1.2 seconds behind Ford on this restart. But all in all, very well. Oh, never mind. Something's happened. Roscoe arm towards the grass on the inside of turn 13. I was about to mention that everyone has gotten through this restart lap pretty well. And then that happened. Wogboy, Spilly, side by side. Not anymore. Spilly gets in front. That's P12. Bags running a bit wide there at turn 1, costing him a little bit of time. Hiller's trying to close in on Karma. Contrast trying to close in on Plebs. Not close enough to attack here, though. Meanwhile, Crichton. He's got 1 second to Izzat. Now, something that he told me after the race at Kota is that he deliberately kept Izzat about a second behind him or so. Because he feels as if he pulls too far away from Izzat, Izzat starts to lose concentration and he starts to make a mistake. If he can try and battle the car in front of him, if he believes he's in the fight, Izzat is a lot more accurate. He doesn't make any mistakes. And I think what Crichton might try and do is the same thing as he did in Kota. Like, it's unbelievable that a driver can do this, but this is sort of the caliber we're talking about with Tier 1. They think about this sort of stuff. Like, Crichton did that deliberately to keep Izzat behind, to keep him in second at Kota when it was dry. I just can't help but wonder if he'll try and do the same thing here and just keep Izzat interested, keep him just about there, that 1.5 seconds behind. It'd be fascinating to see what Crichton does. Because when he told me he did this, I didn't quite believe it, but when you think about it for a little bit, it starts to make a bit of sense. As Luke gets by Bags Liddell, he moves himself into P10. See now, the gap hovering at about 1.5, 1.6. He might be thinking about driving away here, leaving these two in the dust. That might be... Oh, no. Right, hopefully that didn't crash the stream. Okay, it didn't. It's still running. Good. Right, we're going to miss out on a little bit of action, but we're going to get ourselves back into it very quickly, okay? This happened before. It's happened again. Hopefully, this is the last time it happens in the stream. So we're going to miss out on maybe 3/4 of a lap of action. I'll get us back into it as soon as possible. Hopefully the invites still work. They should still work. But I don't know why PlayStation is doing this right now. It's happened very, very recently. Go away, EA. I don't care. But yeah, it's doing this very, very recently. I don't know why it does it, but it, yeah. It kicks you out of everything. It just kicks you out of just about everything. But it only happens for like a split second. Like, it briefly disconnects you, and then it reconnects you a second later. Don't know why it does it, but it does it. I've had to deal with that all day. Tried to fix it, can't fix it. So I'm gonna have to do some... I'm gonna have to do some rebuilding, I reckon, of the database. That might be what's going on. Maybe. I'll have to wait and see. Alright. We're back into it, and it's now lap 26, and it seems that 40 has moved by Isaac Kush. You can see the gap. It's now 4.3 seconds between Crichton and Ford. So Crichton has taken off. You can see the conditions have become quite a bit worse compared to where we once left it. So, Plebs is in. Why is Plebs in? Full wets? Is that what he's moving on to, maybe? Contrast has moved on to full wets. I'm guessing Plebs is doing the same. Yep, those are full wet tyres being bolted onto the car. So, the rain is starting to increase here at Interlagos. Is that now in third place, starting to lose time to Ford. Ford now has the task of catching up to Crichton. 4.9, 5.1 seconds is now the gap between Crichton and Ford. What a recovery from Ford after what happened in that sprint race. Around turn 6 and around turn 7. And into the hairpin of turn 8. Karma holding P6. Driving quite well out there right now, Karma. Driving really well out there. Hilez, nice recovery too. Up 10 positions from last. He's up to 7th. Luke in 8th. Bags Adele in 9th, up 6 places. Svelly down 5, but he's still there in that battle train. He might be able to make up a few spots. Izzat's out of the race! He has crashed hard into the wall at the exit of Junsao, and we have a safety car on lap 27. Rather 28. It's just begun. Of this race, we have a safety car. And Crichton slowing down. You'll have to pass the safety car here. And does so. I believe he has. Yep, he's passed the safety car. So he has to do one lap with the Delta. Spicy's in. And Izzat has left the session. A huge blow at turn 13. is that? Chucking it into the wall. Oh, be careful. She was... You have to remember, that safety car is indestructible. So be very careful around it. Whoa, Leo trying to get around it. Doing a nice job. You can see the green light on top of the safety car. It means you have to pass it. So the safety car is just dawdling around the racetrack. Not pulling off anywhere. Hilles finding his own... Now up 12 positions. My goodness. He's looking quite good. Now, I wonder if anyone else will pit for the full wet tyre. We've seen a few people come in. Spicy, Contrast, Plebs, they've all come in for the wet weather tyre. Will Crichton come in and do the same? Or will he stick it out on the Inter? Let's find out. He's gonna stick it out. Safety car in this lap. What? The track's green! The track's green! What's going on? But the steering wheel still has yellow. You can see the yellow icons on the steering wheel. Right there. What's this? What's going on? Oh, and that's Karma backing up the field. What's happening here? What? We're back on the green. Are we back on the green? We are back on the green. What on God's green earth happened here? Oh, and off the racetrack goes Bags Liddell. What? Excuse me? What is this? What was that safety car period? It was out there. It was touring the racetrack. The leader got by it. And now, what was a 5-second gap between Crichton and Ford, it's turned to 8 tenths. But they're 16 seconds in front of this group of cars. Excuse me. How does this happen? We got guys out there on alt inters. We got guys out there on fresh wets who were hoping that this safety car period would put them in a really strong position. Spicy was up in the top 5. He pitted for wet weather tyres. And he was going to bunch up behind everyone else, potentially gain some track position. But now, no. That's not going to happen. Instead, he's been shafted. He's down in 7th. But the best result he can look forward to is 4th. That is currently being held by Karma. This is tight. This is too wide here. Heading down the main straightaway. Almost 3. Contact, I think, between Plebs and I Contrast. I believe. Plebs gets by. He's into 9th. Spilly trying to keep going on those intermediate tyres. Maybe they just don't have the speed right here, right now. And here comes I Contrast down the inside. 3 goes. Spicy's now up to 5th. His next target is Karma, as Wogboy has left the session, down in P13. Crichton's pulled away though. Look at the gap. It's 2.3. We've seen Crichton in wet weather conditions. He is a master in these tricky wet weather conditions, and he's demonstrating that right here, right now. Leo's starting to close in as well. That's something 40 doesn't want, and this is something that Karma doesn't want. He's got his wing mirrors full of orange right now as they head through turn 12. No way you're going to make a move around the outside. I was going to say, if you made an overtake there around the outside of turn 12, that would have been the overtake of the season. You don't make overtakes there on the outside. He didn't need to do anything so ballsy though. He's sitting in the slipstream. He's got grip on those wet leather tyres. Can he get by here at turn 1? Looks to the inside. Oh, and Carmen leaves the door open. He didn't have to leave it open. He left it open. Plebs gets by his teammate. Luke's down to 7. Luke down to 8th rather. Out of turn 3. Down the Retro Aposta towards the Cedar de Lago. Karma, cover. Yes, that's right. Cover the inside. Force Spicy around the long way. Now try and force him wide. But Spicy, wowee, with all that grip, he was able to get in front of Karma on the outside. And he takes P4. Meanwhile, it's now 3.7 between Crichton and Ford. Crichton's pulling away. He is driving away from these two. The pace is incredible. But what a confusing set of circumstances. It's a G-Force 1, 2, 3 out there when... Well, they've essentially been gifted a 1, 2, 3. Because of the circumstances that took place with the safety car. What absolute bonkers is this race? Plebs looking around the long way on Gilles. Eye Contrast is in this fight as well. As they head down into the Center S. Gilles covers that inside line well. Fighting it out on the Inter. As they head out of turn 2 and around turn 3. Down the Retro Aposta. You can see Plebs dumping the battery. But the Mercedes has got decent straight line speed. Gilles can hang on, but he runs wide. And here comes Plebs. Ooh, almost contact between the two cars. Out of turn 5. And here comes Eye Contrast. Looking round the long way at Ferradura. You can't make that move stick. And he has to go back down to P8. And he now has Luke right behind him. But the rain, it's considerably lighter than what it was before. Have the wet weather tyres become the inferior compound compared to the Inter? You can see how light it is now. There's a slight dry line starting to form. Will the Inters start to spring back? Will their pace come back? Well, it seems Karma's closing in a little bit. He's now 1.1, 1.2 behind 1.3 now. Can Karma close back in? Yep, safety car bug. An incredible safety car bug, but I've never seen it before. As Plebs looking round the outside into turn 2, and he gets in front. Plebs into P6, Gilles down to 7. Contrast. Can he attack? Sitting in the slipstream, closing in. To the outside, he'll look. He dives it in deep and swoops around the outside of Gilles. Gilles, I think he gave that up. Broke a bit early. Just let the AlphaTauri through. Yeah, I agree. Leo is close. He's giving Ford a hard time. Because Ford, all he wants is to finish in second and limit the damage that this race is going to do to his championship chances. Right now, he does not want Leo to be anywhere near him. He just wants to get on with it. And with Leo just here, it's applying pressure. That's what it's doing. It's applying pressure. And 40, as we saw in the sprint, can make a mistake. He can make a mistake. 40 though knows this, and he's probably doing his best to not make that same mistake. Karma though, he's gaining. The gap's reduced. It's now 1 second between Karma and Spicy. This battle for 4th may not be over just yet. Oh, here comes Bags Liddell on Gilles, looking round the long way at turn 1. Tried to look down the inside of turn 2, but couldn't quite get it done. Now through turn 3. Spilly's in this battle too, as they exit Curva du Sol. And down the Retro Aposta they go. Bags closes in. Does he go for the move? He looks, but doesn't go for it fully. He stays behind. And there's the AI of Wogboy, sitting at the back of the train, watching this race. What is this? What is this race at Brazil? This is bonkers. Down the inside goes Look on Contrast. Can't get it done at turn 8. It's all over the back of him through turn 9. There's another opportunity here at turn 11 if he sends it in deep. It doesn't commit to the move. Not just yet. Still got one more lap though for this group of drivers. Actually, for the leaders as well. They've got 2 laps to go. What's this? I'm so lost. Karma's now on the back of Spicy. This is on. This is genuinely on between Spicy and Karma. And if Karma, so long as he finishes this race, this will be his best result of the season. A top 5 in these tricky conditions. Not easy. He's driven quite well. Kept out of trouble. And now he's got the advantage over Spicy. Down the Retro Aposta towards the Cedar do Lago. Not quite close enough here, but he's applying pressure. Luke, Eye Contrast. Drag racing towards the Cedar do Lago. Oh, it's tight at the apex. They're side by side. Running wide is Eye Contrast. And through goes Luke into P7. Eye Contrast down to 8th. I think I saw an Aston Martin running wide there at turn 5. That'll be Roscoe Army. Might have copped a warning for that. Karma applying pressure. Into the hairpin. Not quite close enough. Leo still giving 40 a bit of a hard time, but 40, he's driving well now. Not making any mistakes. Oh, I said that and he had a wiggle at turn 2. I'm going to keep my mouth shut now. Oh, Karma. Can he go for it? He's dumping his battery. So is Spicy. They're using everything they have left. Here comes Luke as well on his teammate. Luke's right here. Will he go for it? Looks to the inside. Can he send it in? Not quite. Plev still outbreaks his teammate. Leo still applying pressure. Karma, he's here. Hello, Karma. Looking to the inside, to the outside now. Into the Cedar Dulago. Swoops round the long way. And he is... Oh, not quite get it done. He almost got it done. He just... Oh, but Spicy loses it on the exit. They're side by side up the hill. Down the inside looks Karma. But out in front, it's been a perfect drive from Crichton. Around the final corner, he'll win the Brazilian Grand Prix. We've got battles going on down the rest of the field. Hilles has spun. That is at turn 7. Bags Liddell is involved. Meanwhile, the battle for 4th. Is it over now? Karma has moved by, but he has a 3-second time penalty that I reckon he could probably remove. That was hard battling there. He was forced out wide. He got a warning, but not by his own mistake, but by Spicy's. So I think he should finish in 4th after the stewards do their thing. But he will be demoted down the order. It will be Spicy for now, who will finish in 4th place. But Karma, a fine drive, finishes 5th. Luke in 6th, followed by Plebs, Eye Contrast, Spilly and Roscoe Arm, Wogboy and Hilles, followed by Bags Liddell. What a fascinating Grand Prix we've just had. Interlagos can truly do it all. Driver of the day given to Luke. We'll see his performance in the final results screen. But for now, time for the podium celebrations. What a fine drive from this man on screen. Put it together when it mattered. And during those wet weather conditions, he was untouchable. He was unbeatable. Took a commanding win with 40. Damage limitation, finishing in 2nd place. Leo in 3rd, making it a G-Force 1, 2, 3. The unofficial results of the main race here at Sao Paulo. G-Force Crichton is your race winner, with G-Force Ford recovering to 2nd place after a disappointing sprint. G-Force Leo finishing 3rd, making it G-Force 1, 2, 3. Spicy provisionally 4th, Karma in 5th, followed by Luke in 6th place. What a drive from 14th up to 6th. No wonder he was given driver of the day. Pleb 7th, followed by Eye Contrast in 8th, Spilly in 9th, Roscoe Arm rounds out to 10th, Wogboy 11th, followed by Hilles in 12th, Bags Liddell in 13th, and our retirements is at Kush with fastest lap, Vision, Silderford, and Tinselman. What a bonkers race that was. Most certainly has. The gap between the top two is now 9 points. 9. It was 24 heading into this round. It's 9 now, with 3 rounds to go, one of which is a sprint. So, this championship tale has taken another turn. How about that? But what a weird, confusing, brilliant race that was. Minus my issues with PSN, I reckon that would have went pretty well, that entire stream. But unfortunately, PSN just not cooperating with me today. Could be my console, it could be the network itself. I have absolutely no idea. But I'm going to have to do some sleuthing to try and work out what the trouble is. So, but we're not done just yet. We'll invite the top 3 into the party and we can conduct some post-race interviews. I'll be back in just a moment. Let's see here. Party. Got to go to the party. Hopefully you're all online. That way it makes my job about 1 billion times easier. Ford, Leo, and of course you're not online. Screw you, Crichton. You're never, ever online. Which makes my job that little bit more difficult, trying to find where your name is. Scroll down. This is a problem with league racing as well. You make a lot of friends through league racing. A lot to sort through. There he is. Yeah. Great new one. Oh yeah. I'll let the top 3 join us and we could talk about it. Ford. Leo. And Crichton. You're all here. 1, 2, 3. How about that? And looks like you're still connecting your audio to me. Hello, Ford. Yeah, you can hear me now? Great. Oh. Hello, you 3. Nice to have you here. It's been a little while since I've had all 3 of you in here. Been a little while. No, nice to have you.
Yeah, I've been off the podium a lot, so it's my fault.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
But, we'll conduct the podium interviews. You know how it goes. Go from 3rd. We'll move our way up. And I'll just do something with the audio, just so then I don't have to mess with it too much. There we are. Sweet. Alright, Mr. Leo, we'll start with you. P3 at the end of that race. As you said, you've been off the podium a little while. Nice to be back, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it is nice to be back. The last race has just been pretty bad, to be honest. I just lack of pace, and yeah, let's not talk about that. But it was a good result today, even though I didn't have the greatest pace in the dry. It was still pretty good.
No, take us through your qualifying session to begin with. How was it on your end?
Quali, it wasn't great, you know. P5 I think, and I was like 14th off pole again. It was a bit annoying because you do laps before in short quali, and they're like enough for pole, and you come in here, and then it's just the nerves get to you and you can't do it.
Yeah,
but
it all just doesn't quite come together when it matters.
Yeah.
No, I
the
do
lap
that
felt
all the
good
time.
though, but I don't know why it's so.
Oh, it just happens, I guess. I mean, the conditions change slightly from short qualifying to another short qualifying. Like here was slightly overcast, so it might have had a small effect on you. But no, P5 at the end of qualifying. And then the sprint race, how was it on your end?
Sprint race was good. I mean, I gained 2 positions, which was good, I guess, but I didn't have great pace the whole time, which was confusing because I thought I was driving quite well.
Yep.
And it's, you know, very annoying when you feel like you're driving well and then they're just faster. I still gained 2 positions and it was good for the next race.
Yeah, that's it. 3rd place, solid points for yourself and Spicy as well, so nice for the constructors. And moving into the main race, starting from P3, how was that start on your end? Was it all right? Was it could be better on your end?
Yeah, it could be better. I mean, I think I should have gone for the mediums because they seem to last until the rain. But I don't know. It's just I think I was a bit unlucky with getting out of DRS, and I thought I was driving quite quick, but I lost DRS and there was no way I can get it back after that.
Yeah, that's right. When you're missing it, you lose so much speed. And what I noticed as well, DRS is pretty powerful here, from what I gathered. Like the amount of extra speed you get from it is quite noticeable. So, yeah, there was that bit of a gap forming, but you were driving quite well. And then the rain period came around. How was it switching to the slick to the intermediate conditions?
It wasn't too bad at the start, but it's all a bit of a blur now. But I think there was a safety car, and then came in like very early in the middle, all on like super cold inters, and it was like really wet as well, like almost wet tires, and that was so hard. I mean, you're just sliding everywhere.
Yep.
And then after that, I managed to keep up with 40. And I feel like me and 40 were like driving really quick, to be honest. We were still like 8 seconds off Cry. I don't know how it's possible, to be honest. I really don't.
I don't. So don't know.
I'd love to see his onboard footage because it's honestly stupid. To be honest, I don't know.
I'll save my footage for you right now.
Yeah, I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get the man himself to talk about that, but we'll talk about you, Leo, because I guess you were gifted a little bit with that second safety car. That whatever the hell that was, it meant that your teammate pitted for wet tyres, and that put him a fair ways behind you. But it meant that you three were secluded from the rest of the field because they were all backed up behind the safety car.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah,
I don't know what was going on with that.
I'm completely lost on that. But no, it meant that you three were sort of by yourselves, and you were close to 40 towards the end of that. Were you sensing that you could go for an overtake? Or?
I was just trying my absolute best. Like I said, I don't think I could have driven any faster. I don't see how anyone could drive any faster, to be honest. That's like Crichton's pace was just esports level. I really don't understand it, but yeah, I was trying to get him, but that safety car was weird because we started the last stint, last part of the race. I started like 2 seconds behind him, which I thought I'd be, right behind him. The safety car was just
it was so weird how that all went down. I have absolutely never ever seen that before in all my 11 million races that I've watched and competed in. I've never ever seen that. So F1 22, great game. But I suppose now, Leo, we have to look forward to next week. Next week we're heading over to Yas Marina, the newly configured Yas Marina circuit. How do you feel heading into next week's race?
I don't really like Yas Marina, to be honest. It's not a great track for me, but I thought Brazil was a great track for me, but I wasn't very quick today, so it's probably going to be worse there.
Quick for my standards, bud. Maybe you guys are rapid compared to someone like myself. But today, nice to have you back on the podium, and hopefully this might give you a bit of momentum heading into the next few races. I know you don't like Abu Dhabi from the statement you made, but who knows? Maybe a bit of luck might fall your way. Might come back here.
Yeah, well, haven't had much luck, so hopefully we'll get some.
No, congratulations, mate, on returning to the podium. Well done on getting P3.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll move on to P2. 40, a race of up and down, pretty much.
Yeah, no, spot on. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
All right, let's start with the up. We'll talk positively. 1 minute 7.158, I think, was your pole time. That's fast.
The car was hooked up pretty nicely, I'd say, for a quali trim. Yeah, and you have a car like that, and you hit every apex on your lap. Every braking marker. It was pretty much a perfect lap, I'd say. There's not much more on the table I could have given for that.
Mate, when I saw your Sector 2 split, I think you were up by almost 2/10. I couldn't believe you found that much time.
On my middle run, I lost about 1/10.5 through turn 4. I just took a lot of too much curb on the inside, and so I knew on my final run, if I don't do that and I just repeat the same lap, it's going to be pretty good. But I still improved even in sector 2 and 3, I think, in my final lap. So there were just no nerves on it. So yeah, just able to car was perfection on quali.
Man, that's confidence right there.
Yeah,
really. That lap, wow, that was fast. That was really, really quick. Unfortunately for you, it started to go downhill.
From there.
Yeah. Sprint time. You're lining up on pole. Get a decent start. Guy alongside you got a pretty good one though.
Yeah, it's look, we've had a good start for probably the last 6 or 7 weeks now, so I mean I can't get too ahead of myself. But yeah, you know, I was struggling with starts quite a bit even in practice. Just I don't know, I was getting a little bit more wheel spin, whether that be the setup or just the way I, you know, lined the car up. I wasn't too sure. And so again, same happened in the race, a little bit of wheel spin, and then we were side by side going in turn 1. I tried to hang around the outside, but the space just shut, so I did the smart thing, just back out of it. And then yeah, you know, there were a couple of opportunities in the sprint race with DRS to get moved on, which, you know, a couple of good battles there. But then obviously got caught up towards the end there. Yeah,
that end part of the sprint, I was riding on board with you for a couple of laps through 13. And on several occasions you had small moments where the car sort of lit up on the exit and you lost about a tenth or so to Crichton every time that you did that. And then eventually you just made that mistake and you spun out onto the grass.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. You know, I had with the quali car, etc. You know, I had that really good quali car, but as the tyres kind of went on in the stint, it got really, really oversteery. Pretty much just like I was driving an ice. So, you know, a loose car is a quick car, but you got to be able to drive it. And I think it was probably a little bit too loose towards the end of those stints. So, and especially on a light fuel tank as well. When it's heavy, you still got to pitch down a little bit, but yeah, it was just like driving an ice pretty much. So yeah, obviously meant a lot of hard work for the main race.
Well, you recovered. It wasn't quite the end before the sprint because you recovered a little bit.
I think those tyres were screaming the whole point. Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. Crucial points, getting 2 points out of it is definitely better than getting nothing. So yeah, I knew, you know, there was still 2 or 3 laps after I spun, and I was on the back of a train. So yeah, you know, I did as much as I could there, but yeah, the main race was the one I'd already set my mind to after that pretty much. It was, okay, just what are we going to do?
Alrighty then, let's talk about it. Main race time, your P9 lining up for the main race. You select mediums. I made a prediction that you would do that. I didn't know about the wet weather. I had no clue about that. But I thought, look, basic strategies in F122, it's either hard medium or medium hard. It's usually how it goes down. And I thought in your position, you needed to make up as many places as you could early. So I had a small prediction that you would go onto the mediums. And you were one of 6 who did. And you had a rocketing start. I think after 2 laps you made up 5 spots. Was I right?
I'm not sure how many spots it was, but it was pretty much the ideal start I could have had. I knew I had to do a differential. You know, you can't just play by the book when you're that far down in your championship rivals in P1. And I know, like, once I can be on that hard stint, and even if, say, there was no rain, if I was on that end hard stint and everyone else on mediums, you can still defend pretty easily. So yeah, it was making as many positions as I could at the start there, and yeah, with the rain, for me, I'm not sure how others were, but the tyre deg between mediums and hards was really similar for me. Hence the reason that kind of also pushed me to side mediums, because I'm like, well, the hards are only going to last about 5 or 6 more laps than my mediums will, so might as well just take the risk on the mediums, and thankfully it paid off.
Yeah, it did, because that early position gain was massive, and then, as you pointed out, and something I didn't quite realise, was the pace difference between the mediums and the hards towards the end of their life wasn't massive. You could start to see a bit of a swing, but it wasn't so great that it made it completely obvious. Like, there would be laps where Crichton would pull away, then there would be laps where you and Izzat would catch up because you were both on the same strategy. But eventually, all of that talk I made about hard, medium, all that, eventually fell out of the bin because the rain came. And you guys lasted pretty long with the rain coming down. How was your time transitioning from the dry to wet weather conditions?
Yeah, I was honestly truly about to pit. the lap before Darius got disabled. On my stream, you'll see me flick over, like, you know, boxes slap and stuff, and I don't know what clicked to my mind, but I stayed up that extra lap, and pretty much as we crossed the start finish line, it said Darius disabled, so I was kicking myself at that. I was really frustrated, but I mean, after looking at what Zach's pace was like on the insters, I don't think I could have really done much anyway. It would have been probably P2 regardless. It just put a bit more pressure to get past his which we managed to anyway, which is nice. But yeah, Zach's pace was insane. I'm not sure if it was different setup or what it was, but yeah, I definitely didn't have that in me.
Don't worry, we'll find out a bit later. But you had a couple of opportunities to bunch up behind Zach, but yeah, it sort of demonstrated his pace in those conditions. As soon as we did the restarts, he was gone. But yeah, the first safety car period, I ranted about that because it was caused by a broken front wing from a Williams.
There you go.
Second one, though, was caused by Izzat slamming it into the wall at 13. Now, I was having PSN troubles throughout this, where I would randomly sign out on my PSN account for legit 1 second, and then it would sign me back in. And that would kick me from the lobby. So I didn't get to see your move on Izzat. How'd you do it?
Yeah. Pretty much it was a lot of pressure over, you know, 5 or 6 laps. And, you know, just wearing down his battery and stuff like that. And had a really good run out of turn 3, the center S's. I knew that's where he was probably weakest on the track. So yeah, used the rest of my battery then. I was side by side going into turn 5. I was probably a little bit further back on the inside than he was. So about half a car length on the left. And yeah, pretty much went side by side, and then I got the job done out of turn 5. He was just on the outside with less grip. So yeah, it was pretty, I guess, standard move for the wet. But it's difficult to overtake in the wet anyway, so I was pretty happy with it regardless.
And then eventually Izzat slammed it into the wall. We had that safety car, that very weird safety car period where random stuff happened.
Yeah, went out for a lap or something.
Yeah, it was strange how it all just sort of unfolded. But it gave you half an opportunity to be on the back of Crichton, all of that, because you were, I think, about 6 or so tenths behind as soon as the green flag dropped.
It was interesting. The green flag dropped while we were still in Sector 3, so like if I was close enough, I wasn't going to get a penalty for overtaking Zach, you know, before the start-finish line, but yeah, you know, we weren't really sure what was happening. Zach was worried he was going to get a penalty, so you know, I said, look, I'm not going to overtake you until we get going again, which we ended up doing anyway. So yeah, I think, you know, through moles and stuff, it's you know, we worked together there and did what we could, because that was a pretty weird scenario.
Yeah, fair play. You might as well try and work together in a situation like that when no one knows really what's going on.
Exactly.
You might as well try.
I don't think it would have impacted our results all that much regardless. You know, the wets pretty much leveled out as soon as that safety car went in. So yeah, I think it would have been, you know, the top 3 as is anyway.
Yeah. But
it's just the rest of the field got a bit mixed up, I'm guessing.
But this race has hurt you a bit, though.
It has, a little bit.
24 down to 9.
It's yeah. It's a race I knew was Zach was going to be good at. It's a shame it wasn't dry the whole way through, because I feel like I probably would have had a much better shot, you know, at definitely competing for the win. But yeah, damage limitation. But yeah, I'll answer your next question for you. I'm pretty happy going in Abu Dhabi.
Alright.
I don't mind the track. I haven't really done many races since its update, but yeah, I knew I had to get this race out of the way. But from here on out, I'm pretty happy, I think, with the rest of the calendar.
Alright, good to hear. But I suppose the silver lining to this is that you're still leading the championship.
Yeah, that's it. Pressure's on Zach at the end of the day, and I've been under that all season, so yeah, we'll see how you can handle Zach.
No comment, Zach? Nothing?
Pardon?
No comment?
No comment. I'm just keep thinking about my 23 points. Mexico.
But no, 40. Congrats on the P2 finish. Nice recovery after what happened in the sprint. Yeah, best of luck for next week.
Thank you. Cheers, Lane.
But, we'll move on to our race winner. Welcome back to Victory Lane, Mr. Crichton.
Thanks, Lane. That's good to be back, mate.
But No, you put together what seemed to be a pretty spot-on drive the whole way through, both the sprint and both the main race. A P2 at the end of qualifying. How was the lap, and was there anything left on the table?
Yeah, there was definitely more time in it. I'd say probably a high 0 and stuff, or a 1 for sure, but I'd say for me I was more focused on the race car and just for sure just trying to have a bit more re-grip there, which as we saw with Bailey, he was lacking, and I feel that probably cost me a little bit in quali since the car wasn't super slidey, and then I was just shaking in quali as well, just choking a bit too much there, so I was quite happy with that front row, and yeah, I'd say that was really my quali, just try and get front row was the main goal.
Well, you got it, and it worked, because your start was better than fourth, and you had the whole shot into turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. Now my starts have been back to how they were at the start of the season, so I was quite happy with that. So I feel like I just flicked a switch tonight and was just back to my old self, just properly focusing on the lights and actually, just focusing on my driving more, which was good. Yep. So yeah, no, the start was really, really good.
But you and Bailey had a few battles during the early stages, and eventually you sorted yourselves out.
Yeah.
And then you saw a spin behind you.
Yeah.
What were the thoughts in your head at that moment?
Yeah, I was quite happy when I saw that and stuff. I felt like I could hold Bailey there anyway, because I still had some nice battery, and I saw he had no re-grip too, and so I knew that if I could just use my battery where he was losing re-grip, I knew that I should be able to hold him behind. So I think, there was 4 laps ago, something like I was feeling pretty comfortable and stuff. I knew that he'd try past me in turn 1 a few times, and I'd just get him straight back. So I felt like my race car was really, really good. So yeah, I wasn't too worried about that.
Yeah, and once he spun, the gap between yourself and his ad was
healthy
enough for you to not worry too much about it.
Yeah, exactly. No battery, just manage it. Then last lap, I just used a little bit of battery just since I had it there.
Fair enough. But no, you took the win with 40 and 9th. That was a 8-point swing in your favour. They reduced it to 16. Yep. So momentum was on your side, and you lined up on pole. Hard tyre to start on. Yep. The guy on the inside of you started on the mediums. So were you thinking, oh god, oh no.
Yeah, I'd say that second start is the one I was super focused, and that start's probably the best I've had on the game. Like 0 wheel spin, nothing, the thing just launched, and I just gapped them all. So yeah, it was really, really good start, that one.
And you needed a good start. The guy on the inside had grip your tyre, so should theoretically get a better start. And should theoretically be able to send it down the inside into 1 if they so chose.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say it was my mindset on that, so I knew I really had to try and get a good start there.
Fair enough. And you did. You led through the opening few corners. You started to lead the race. And you had a couple of battles with Izzat because he was on the softer tyre. He was able to keep pace. And eventually you started seeing shades of red start to close in. Because
I did,
Mr. 40 had a decent start. Started recovering up places. But what were your sort of game plans at the early stages of the race? Was it just to try and keep out of trouble, or try and pull away?
Yeah, mainly just keep out of trouble and stuff. I was hoping that the rain was going to come later, so that's why I went hards.
Okay.
So I'd say my main goal was just try and lead the first 2 laps, just hold the mediums up a little bit, and then I just let Kush go, then I just used his DRS, which I did. So, as you probably saw, I was sitting about 7/10 behind, saving my battery just a little bit in case Bailey went for the attack, which he did. So if I half knew that Bailey was going to catch up, because I knew he was going to easily slash through those guys in a lap or 2, so if I knew on the tyre as well, him on mediums, it just wouldn't really be that hard for him to catch up, so if I knew that I just had to be smart, save the battery and just sit in P2 there for as long as I could.
And then eventually the pace started to even out between the mediums and the hards. You started to come into the fray again. But about that time, the wet weather was starting to arrive. Now, your pit period, to move on to the intermediate tyre, you missed the pit lane in a similar fashion to 40 when DRS was disabled. Were you planning to pit as soon as that problem came up, or were you planning to go a little longer?
As soon as it flashed up the DRS is when I was going to pit. So yeah, I just went past, but I don't think it really mattered, because like the grip was still not too bad. Yeah, exactly. Like the grip was fine, and I nearly thought about going 1 more, but I was like, nah. Like, just don't try and be silly, Zach. Just follow the rest, and so that's what I did, and it worked out.
Fair enough. And then safety car came along and reset everything for you. You backed the field up.
I did indeed. I was like, I haven't really led for a long time, so let's just go back to our games and just slow them up so I can just have that feeling again. So I just backed him up, and I was like, yeah, this should probably work for me, hopefully. And yeah, it did.
I thought Izzat got a poor start relative to you, but he actually got a half decent one.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, yeah.
Because he was only about 3/10 or so behind you heading into the Center S. Just the camera angles I had, it looked like he had a poor one. But your pace...
Yeah.
Like, I remember talking to you after Coda, and I made mention of this on the stream, that I thought you might want to try and keep Izzat close to you, like you did at Coda, to try and keep him focused. To try and keep a car between yourself and Izzat.
Yeah.
But after a few laps, it turned out that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of the same game plan as well, Lane, but it turned out my pace was a bit too red hot.
Yeah, it was. Take us through it. What was it? Was it the car? Was it?
No, it's just me. I'd say the rain is like, it's just a really good like equalizer and stuff. It just shows, yeah, like no one really does laps in the rain anyway. So I think when it rains, you can really see who's quick and who's got the talent.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess.
Wow.
So, so yeah, I kind of smoked the rest of the field, which is pretty easy.
I see how it is, bro. I see how it is.
Mate, I sit here humbly
Yeah.
as the least skilled person in this chat.
What, two poles this season?
Yeah. But yeah, no, the rain was really good and stuff. I was just having fun sliding the car around, just short shifting around the corners, and yeah, just putting the car just really where I wanted. And yeah, it's like we saw at Monza as well in the rain. I was so much quicker than the rest of the field. So
yeah, a few of your wet weather performances sort of demonstrate your wet weather talents.
But I don't really lose in the rain, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd say that's a fair enough statement.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I was super happy with the pace, and so if I saw the gap, which was like 8 seconds or something, and I was like, yeah, that'll do. That's good.
And then thud goes Izzat.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then he crashed. So he probably lost focus since I didn't keep him close enough.
Did.
Yeah.
Because he slammed pretty hard into the outside wall at 13, and that brought out the safety car. One of the weird